Thanks for thanks for speaking with me. I appreciate it. I think the last time I talked to you was probably Ghost Wars. I think
That's possible. Yeah.
it's been a while. I really
Yeah.
liked that show. I was mad when they ended it, but that's a
I
whole
was
other
I
issue.
was frustrated too, but you know, this is the way the world works. You never know.
You
You can't
know.
control
You
it.
never know.
No.
Well, it's been 2 years since the first season of Warrior Nun aired. Was that because of COVID that it took so long, or was it kind of other things at play?
No, COVID was a major component of us. I mean, we definitely, I think, lost at least 6 or 7 months in terms of production. The other issue for us was the team that I made Warrior Nun season 1 with, which I wanted back, was also busy when the COVID restrictions ended. So we had to wait for my team, who are the magicians, really, the real geniuses on Warrior Nun, are this group of artists who make the show with me, and we wanted them back. We didn't want a new team. We wanted the old team. So we waited a little bit for them to be ready and have a bit of time off because they were shooting another production. And so that delayed us also. And so unfortunately for the fans, for me, for everyone, it was very frustrating that we had to wait that long. COVID certainly was the major problem, though, because it really, once the COVID restrictions ended, all of these other things got backed up. And suddenly everyone wanted to shoot at the same time in the same place. That just made it very difficult. So that's the reason.
Right. I was going to say, though, I assume that season 2 probably was easier to film than part of season 1.
Well, season 2 was hard because of the COVID restrictions, which we didn't have in season 1.
That's what I mean.
And season 2 is much more ambitious, as you've seen it, right?
Yes, I've seen it all.
So you'll know that in season 1, I think we had 400 visual effects shots over 10 episodes. And in season 2, we have 1,000 over 8.
Wow.
So our post-production was much longer as well, which added to the delay.
Right. Did you have a plan kind of from when you started the show, sort of where it's headed, and how much has it changed so far from where you originally thought it would go?
Well, I mean, we had in general terms, yes and no, because we thought we had a plan, but that plan keeps changing and evolving as the writers and I discuss the show. So in season 1, we had a loose plan, but that changed as we wrote season 1 and became more familiar with the characters, more familiar with the mythology. And so by the end of season 1, when we were discussing season 2, theoretically, we had charted a new course for season 2 than we had intended necessarily at the beginning of season 1. And in saying that, we did the same thing in season 2. When we were writing season 2, the goalpost of the ending of season 2 had to be in context of what we thought a season 3 would be. And so we discussed early on about what a season 3 might look like. And that was very different from what I thought season 3 would look like from the before season 1. So yeah, it's a constantly evolving process and I'm grateful that it's not just up to me. It's up to, I get to have really, really robust, thoughtful conversations with the writers about what we would all love to see as not just the people writing the show, but as fans as well. And make sure that it's as watertight as possible, and so that it doesn't, let down the show, and that it feels like we have an agenda that is about something, and not just randomly throwing together a crisis after crisis after crisis.
Makes sense. Is there any news about season 3 though, or is it kind of?
We will not hear anything from Netflix until at least a minimum of a month after season 2 airs. And typically Netflix is not in the habit of renewing the shows until they've already been on and have audience. So that's how it happened on season 1. We found out fairly quickly, but it was because season 1 did very well, I think.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get a season 3. I want to know what happens.
I agree. I completely agree. I'd love to tell the rest of the story. Yeah.
So for those people who watch this who haven't seen it yet, can you tease a bit about sort of what, I guess, because obviously before they were looking for Adriel, and now they're kind of doing the opposite, trying to put him back. So
yeah, season 2 is kind of a combination of the promise of Ava's character development of becoming the Warrior Nun and actually acting like the Warrior Nun and having an impact, and what that means. What does it mean to be someone with great power and how to use that responsibility, and also what's the end game for someone who has a special ability. Is it sacrifice or is it more, and in that model, we really wanted to have Ava be given an adversary that was worthy of her and worthy of the situation that she finds herself in and is embracing as a character. Because Ava in season 1 kind of got over this situation she found herself accidentally in and decided that this was a life of purpose and a life that would have meaning. And she she found love and companionship with her sisters, and so now she has someone to fight for. It wasn't just about her anymore and being selfish. It was about her being selfless. So we needed season 2 to really be the expression of that. And in doing so, we needed to give her something that she could conceivably give everything up for, if she had to, because that's what ultimately what the hero does, and that's what love does to you. It makes you want to help others more than yourself. And so that was really for us the ambition of season 2, was to give Ava all of the tools to showcase all those sides of her, the part of her that wants to fight, the part of her that wants to run, the part of her that wants to save others, and the part of her that wants to give up her own safety for the safety of the people she cares about.
All right. Can you talk about balancing sort of the sci-fi elements with adding religious elements, especially when there's a lot of violence this season?
Yeah.
Sort of talk about finding that perfect balance with all that.
Well, we always loved the idea that building on Catholicism and Christianity was so easy for the audience to digest the stakes of good and evil, heaven and hell, and God and the devil, and angels and demons. That this is a very familiar language, and it's not religious. The show's not a religious show. It uses religious mythology as a template for stakes, and those stakes are universal: death, the afterlife, good and bad. And that has nothing to do with Christianity. It's just got to do with a religious structure. And so for us, it was fun to take that great rich mythology and tweak it with our sci-fi mythology and see if there was a way to overlap or misinterpret old mythology into new mythology. So the example was, everyone thinks Adriel is an angel, but he's actually a devil. People think that heaven is a place, but it could just be an alternate dimension. And the idea that you can take all of these sci-fi concepts and apply them to religious mythology is kind of fun, because it's all a big mystery at the end of the day. There's no proof of anything. So we thought as writers, wouldn't it be great to kind of use the basis of religion as a way to not change the stakes, but to change just a little bit of the information and see if there was some misinterpretation along the way, or things had been seen as one thing but were actually another. Like even the wraith demons, the sort of vapors, we think of them as being bad because they look evil and they're red, and then you find out at the end, no, they're actually trying to stop, or the Tarasques, you think, oh, these are horrible beasts, they're demons, and they're actually trying to help stop the wraith demons that are bad and they're helping Adriel. So it was just fun to take all that imagery and spin it,
Now, I haven't read
You'll have to correct my mistake.
It's okay. Yeah, I can edit the video, but I was gonna say, I haven't read the comic book, so I'm not sure, but was there like what kind of difficulties did you have, I guess, in adapting it? And were there things that maybe you couldn't do or that you wanted to do, that kind of thing from the comic that kind of...
Well, the comic's very, very different. I mean, the comic book is a very kind of heightened, a little bit extreme, out there, and very sexualized version of sort of the Warrior Nun structure. And we really didn't use any of the comics storylines for the most part. We decided with Ava as a fresh start on the Warrior Nun mythology. She would be the new person coming into this universe, that the audience could experience it via her perspective. And that isn't in the comics. The comics is really about these individual warrior nuns who all have, these journeys, and they sometimes are together and sometimes they're independent, but they're much kind of bolder and more out there, you know. We knew that for a show to be on Netflix in 2020 and 2022, we needed to be a bit more conscious of sort of the audience and the graphic novels from the 90s. This is a lot of things have changed since then. And we wanted to open it up to a bigger audience in the comic book, you know, and include more people. So we made a few changes, but, you know, the inspiration is from Ben Dunn, the idea that there's the secret society of fighting nuns that are battling on behalf of good and evil is the essence of the graphic novel. And so that's what we thought we could build on and maybe deepen it a little bit in a way that only a TV show can do.
All right. I'm just curious, was the halo on the back, was that from the comic, or is that,
No,
that's what I was gonna say, where did that idea come from then? Because that's
so the original, so before I started working on the TV show Warrior Nun, I was brought on to help write a movie version, which ultimately never moved forward.
Right.
But in the movie version, this idea of the halo had been suggested by one of the filmmakers, I think, of the feature. It might have been the director. I can't remember, actually. It's a long time ago. And it wasn't exactly what we've done with it. Didn't have the story that we gave it. It was more of kind of just a random religious artifact that brought someone back, but it didn't really do all the things that we've done with it. And it didn't have the personality we've given it, and it didn't have sort of the connection to the mythology that we've built. But the idea of it was that it could bring someone back, you know, from death. And so we took that idea from the movie, and then when I realized the movie wasn't going to get made and we went for the TV version, I wanted to keep that alive, you know, and move it over.
All right. You talk about, you know, changing the audience, that kind of thing, but does anything that like you hear about it, does any of that ever affect what you end up writing, like any of the fans or anything?
It's impossible because we're writing way in advance. Yeah. We wrote Warrior Nun season 2 before pandemic.
Oh, okay. That's right. You started that. That makes sense then.
I mean, Warrior season 1 hadn't come out.
Yeah.
So we have no way really to, I mean, we obviously, when we were shooting season 2, Warrior Nun season 1 had been out, and I had, obviously the fans had given their thoughts and ideas about things, but once you're in production, it's very hard to make big changes, you know. It's quite disruptive, and we liked what we'd written. We'd worked really hard on it, so we didn't really feel a need to reconsider it or look at it again or question ourselves. We felt very confident that season 2 was going to deliver what the fans wanted, and I think it does. So
yeah, definitely. So is there anything like unscripted though that's made it in that you've left in, or anything like that?
Unscripted?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always, I mean, in every scene, the actors bring unique improvisational moments, and accidents happen, and there's always something that makes it live, you know.
Yeah.
In a way. So that's constant, but nothing I think that's defining. No.
Right.
Nothing that would say, oh, the show would have been very different if this actor hadn't done this or done that. No, I think that it's pretty much what we planned and executed on the page.
All right, fair enough.
But it's way better than what we wrote because of the cast.
That makes sense. Do you have a favorite scene from this season that you can tease without giving too much away?
There's a lot of fun ones. I mean, I'm a big fan of the end of episode 1, when Lilith discovers, you know, discovers what Vincent is up to. I think that's a really fun scene, and really kind of a wake-up call for what the rest of the season is going to be. I like the scene. There's a scene where Ava and Beatrice kind of have a domestic fight. That I really think is a great showcase for those 2 actors, and also it's really, you know, it helps you understand their relationship, you know, better. And oh my God, there's too many to pick from.
Do you have a favorite location? Because where you film in Spain is so beautiful, all of it, and fits it so perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, we were very, very fortunate and very lucky to be allowed to shoot in the Prado Museum, which is the main national museum in Madrid, and one of the most beautiful art galleries, you know, in the world. And so I was thrilled that we not only got permission to shoot in there, but the images we got in there I thought were great, and it was just nice to be in a place like that and have it, you know, to yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a fun scene. I do like how there's kind of some of that, comedy mixed in with all the drama and everything else.
Yeah, it was a really fun scene to shoot, I mean, the hard thing about picking a favorite location in Spain is that they're all amazing. It's just always fun. I think one place that was really cool actually was in the coda scene, the scene that's on the tag after the credits.
Oh, okay, yeah, that.
Yeah, we shot in this castle where the sword glows again, and that castle was actually really far away from Madrid, and there was this tiny little town attached to it that was even smaller than the castle even, and we had so much fun as a crew hanging out there and shooting there, and buying all of the food and wine and cheese from all the little stores in the town. It was that is etched in my mind as being very special, and it was bonding for everyone. Everyone had a great time, and it was a beautiful little picturesque town that, you know, hopefully if we get a season 3, we get to go back to that new Cat's Cradle, you know.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, it's very beautiful there, and the whole show is great. I know there's a lot of really great choreography and special effects this season too, so that's always
well, big. I have to give a shout out to the Embassy VFX who do all of our visual effects here in Vancouver. They're amazing, and also Li Huang, who was our fight choreographer this year, and who was working on The Matrix before that, and came over to work with us, and he is amazing. Super talented young guy who really brought a new level of fight choreography to the show, and we really appreciate it.
Okay, great. Well, I don't want to, it's already past 15 minutes. I don't want to keep it too long, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I really hope you get a season 3 because I want to know what happens. So.
Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate that. And thanks for being a supporter of the show. It really means a lot.
Show. Well, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Jamie. Bye.